Okay, welcome to video number 2. So for the first 2 weeks in video 1, I felt like I was just kind of getting back into the flow of drawing and really trying to figure out exactly how to draw again. But these last 2 weeks that I've just been drawing, it felt more like I was starting to get a direction, like a foothold on exactly how I need to be learning. So this video is going to be about that. But first things first, this sketchbook right here, this Lita art supply sketchbook that I used for the first 2 weeks. It's been great, I love it, I'm gonna keep using it. But for this project, it's just not big enough. So I solved that problem. This thing right here, this is an A3 paper sketchbook. It's been great so far. It works really well with gel pens and just regular pencils, brush pens as well. It's having a little bit of a difficulty with fountain pens, but I don't really use them too often to draw anyway, so I shouldn't have too much of a problem. Anyway, so over the past 4 weeks, I have essentially taken all of the drawings that I've done and all the time that I put into it, and I've broken down what I think I need to do to improve into three guidelines, I guess you could say, because they're not like strict rules that I'm gonna follow, but 3 guidelines. The first guideline is how to learn anatomy and proportions. So I jumped on the internet, I took a look at all the different kinds of resources that people were recommending on how to learn anatomy and how to learn proportions and how to do it properly. And a lot of people were just talking about beans and boxes, and I was not really vibing with that, but they also mentioned the Taco Anatomy drawing book. So I got it on PDF because I can't afford it, but I started with that for a few days, and I really got bored fairly quickly. I didn't really know exactly how I was supposed to use the Taco book initially. I did a couple sketches, I guess, just copying what I saw in the book from the beginning, and it bored me. So I decided to do a little bit of extra digging on the internet. And so I scrolled through YouTube, watched some drawing videos. How do I draw anatomy proportionally? How do I draw it correctly? How do I know what size is what for what and how they relate to each other? And they all basically came across the same point: drawing beans and boxes. And I did not like that at all. So after watching a bunch of YouTube videos, I came across this YouTuber by the name of Anime Charles. And the video that I watched of his, he had talked about how he's a lazy artist and how he wants to get better without putting in as much effort. And I thought, yeah, that's kind of exactly where I'm at. And then he called me out on the spot and asked a question and said, "Do you struggle with proportions?" And I couldn't help but feel that that was directed at me and only me. And so I leaned into the video a little bit and I kept watching. And after he talked about drawing the beans and boxes, he gave one simple word of advice. He said, "Start with the torso. If you can draw your torso, the proportions for everything else will come naturally." So, Taco drawing book, as well as just that advice that I got from that YouTube video, I went into these last 2 weeks, focusing mostly on the torso and how to proportionally put together a torso. Now, I'm moving through the week at this point and I'm starting to get an idea of how to put together a torso. At the beginning, they were too skinny, the shoulders were too small, everything was not lining up super well, but I'm starting to understand it. And another thing that I noticed along this time frame is that my line quality is terrible. I'm so used to just sketching, never really completing anything with like a inking level of quality. I decided that my line quality is something that's gonna need to change, especially my line confidence. Because if you look at some of these, you'll notice I redraw over and over and over again, even though I'm using pen, which I was intentionally doing to force myself not to erase anything. Now, when I go back and look at these videos at real-time speed, not the sped-up version that you're seeing right now, I see how uneasy my hand is and how nervous I am to put down lines on the paper. That's why line quality and line confidence are gonna be guideline number 2 for me. 3 is something that I haven't necessarily implemented just because I feel like I'm still in the stages of learning how to do these things. So, as for guideline number 3, which is drawing from imagination as well as drawing from reference. So, when I was younger and I used to draw a lot, like a lot, I would pretty much do everything from imagination until I realized I didn't know how to do it. And only at that point would I go to the internet, to Pinterest, to Google, to whatever, to look up reference on how to draw this thing that I'm trying to draw. And that was it. But I don't think I have that same amount of time that I used to anymore. And in these past 2 weeks, I've only 2 or 3 drawings from imagination. The majority of these are from reference, but you can tell how low quality the ones from imagination are because I lack that knowledge about the anatomy of a person to be able to really implement that into a drawing. Now, these are very, very loose guidelines. These aren't rules that I'm gonna be sticking by the rest of the time I'm doing this little project, but I think they're very good starting points for me at least, because these are the things that I can see the most prominently and the things that I think I could fix that will make a substantial difference to my drawing. So I did come up with these guidelines during the first part of week 3. So it's been almost the entirety of the last 2 weeks that I've been thinking about these guidelines and trying to implement them. And because of that, you can actually see it reflect in the artwork that I did these last 2 weeks. So I just wanted to give a general thoughts on my last 2 weeks drawing and then also break it down by each one of these guidelines and see how I did, at least from my point of view. All right, for guideline 1, learn anatomy and proportions. Like I said earlier, I started from the torso and I have been slowly working my way out over the last 2 weeks. Now, by no means do I think my ability to draw torsos is perfect. It's just, you can only draw so many torsos before you want to add arms or legs to it. There's a couple that I've done that are full body. Those are mostly towards the end of this week, so closer to today. There's a few exceptions of different things in between, like heads. And speaking of heads, I noticed a significant difference, the heads that I'm drawing. So in the first 2 weeks, I spent a lot of time really working on the facial details and the heads and the hair itself. And it was like 6 of the 10 drawings that I did in the first 2 weeks had some sort of intermediate level of detail on the faces. Whereas in these last 2 weeks, 5 of these 16 drawings that I did have some level of detail. And to me, that's pretty good. The face, it takes a long time to draw. Portraits are cool, but for me right now, it's kind of a pointless activity to draw the faces in the portraits. Maybe I'll do like a rough outline of where the nose goes and the mouth and the eyebrows. But I need to focus on the torso and drawing the limbs and making sure all these proportions are correct before I can go back to drawing the face, which I feel like I'm already fairly decent at. Unless you watched the last video and then you know I'm not that good. Moving on to line quality and line confidence, I forced myself a couple of the days to actually draw with the fountain pen, because once you go put down a line with the fountain pen, it's impossible to draw. There were 3 or 4 of these drawings that I did in the last 2 weeks, and in those ones, I would say my line confidence was fairly high, and it really forced me to think a lot about the next line that I was gonna put down before I put it down, instead of just putting down the line, seeing how well it worked out, and then going back and changing it with a pencil, or even just writing down another line like you see me do it a lot with the like gel big pen. Also, I tried out the brush pen a couple times. I think the only reason I did that was because I watched a Kim Jung-gi video and I decided I wanted to give it another try. It turned out okay. I'm definitely not great with it, but it's something I would like to explore in the future, so it's nice to know that I can at least use it. And the last thing for this, when I was drawing with the blue big pens, I had a lot of redraws and my line confidence went straight down the toilet. You can see in a lot of the sketches with the big pen, that I just had absolutely no idea where my lines were supposed to go. It's super scratchy. I'm not trying to get the sketchy look, but I just get so caught up in putting lines on the paper that I forget. I don't stop and think, and it doesn't come out the way I would like it to come out. So that's one thing that I think I definitely missed in these last 2 weeks. And then the last thing, drawing from reference and imagination. It's mostly from reference. There's nothing really exciting going on inside my brain just yet, but I've noticed that I've been taking a lot more time in the real world and just looking at things and really trying to figure out how things are constructed. Whether it's a person or an object, I spend a lot more time thinking about the shape and the volume of the things around me. Anyway, I just wanted to give you a stat here really quick. So these past 2 weeks, I drew a total of 16 times, but I've only shown 10 in this video because I wasn't able to record every single one of them. They weren't all at my desk. And in terms of time spent, that's roughly about 21.3 hours of drawing in the last 2 weeks. If we keep this average and apply it to the first 2 weeks that I did video 1, those 10 drawings that I did in those first 2 weeks get me to 13.33 hours. And when we add those two together, we get about 34 hours and 40 minutes. So I am very, very far away from hitting my 10,000 hours to become an expert, you could say, at drawing. But anyway, If you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my video about drawing, leave a like. If you want to follow my journey, go ahead and subscribe. Also, if you have any advice, or if you think I may be missing something important that could help me out a lot, leave it down in a comment below. But thank you for watching. See ya.